Hello everyone, greetings from South Africa. As promised last time, I'm going to talk more about our borehole pumps today. Yes, plural, because at the moment we run the third pump. The first pump was loaned to us by the contractor that drilled our borehole. That was a rather small pump. It only had 750 watts of power, which is of course much more than your average garden pond pump has. However, for farming purposes, it's very small. It was a nice stopgap measure to provide us with the ability to pump water. As you remember in the borehole video, that was quite the achievement for us, hence our excitement when it finally worked. But it was loaned to us, it was small, so we had to find an alternative. I actually found a very nice shop here in South Africa that provided us with a pump that fitted our requirements rather well. It had a nominal power rating of 2.2 kilowatts, had the right diameter, and it was comparatively cheap. So yeah, I took the packages with me in my suitcase when I flew to the Gambia, and then we mounted it. When you look at the basic setup of a borehole pump, you have the motor sitting at the bottom. You have a suction area where the actual water goes into the pump, and then the pump area that propels it upwards. It usually comes with a control box that you can see here. The control box is pretty much a fuse, a switch, a condensator for the startup operation, and yeah, an inlet for the power and an outlet towards the pump. And yeah, I fitted it all together when I was in the Gambia, and then we tried to start it up, and nothing happened. The problem is, which we found out later, that in the first few fractions of a second when you start up an electrical motor, it draws roughly 5 to 8 times the energy that it is nominally rated for. So in the case of our borehole pump, instead of 2.2 kilowatts, it drew in excess of 10 kilowatts, which is a problem because our solar system can provide per phase, that is per wire, only 3.3 kilowatts. So it can't start up. It could sustain the pump, but it can't start it up. And when we found out that the pump was working with our generator, who has enough power to actually start the pump up, it was back to the drawing board. We switched the concept from a single-phase pump to a three-phase pump, because that provides us with the option to draw the entire 10 kilowatts, and it splits the power requirement between all three phases. So with a pump, or with a motor to be specific, that has a rating of 1.5 kilowatts, we stay well within the limits of our solar system. So we were looking for a borehole pump with a rating of 1.5 to maximum 2 kilowatts, to not go beyond what we can handle with our solar system. And we were looking in the Gambia to actually shorten the time till we can set it up, but to no avail. There was a merchant who claimed that he had a three-phase borehole pump with the specifications that we need. But when I got shared the picture that you can see here, I, frankly speaking, went back to the shop here in South Africa and got a very nice borehole pump that sits neatly within the specifications that we need. It also comes with a control box, which looks a little bit differently than the control box for a single-phase unit. As you can see in this diagram here, on the left you have the power supply with the three phases. Then it all runs into the control box itself. there is a switch, a floating switch in the water tank that needs to be filled. When it is at the bottom, it gives a signal to the control box. I'm empty, pump needs to run. Pump starts up, runs, and when the floating switch is at the top end, it gives a signal to the control box, hey, I'm full, stop the pump now. So instead of manually checking and filling the tank, it is all automated, and that has the advantage that you never run dry, or you can't forget to switch the pump off and then it all goes over. What you can see here is quite the interesting thing and ties in quite neatly to what I hinted at the last time. You can see that for the electrical motor, which is a three-phase motor, you can see the three leads, the three wires that carry the electricity, but no neutral that circles back. Why is that? When you look at the diagram, you can see that each of the wires that carries the electricity carries it over time a little bit differently. There is a so-called phase shift. So when the power is at the maximum rating in the first phase, the other phases are ascending or descending in comparison. So they are pretty much taking sequence when they are at their maximum power rating. And as you can see, they are shifted in such a way that when you all combine them together, the common is always at zero. They pretty much cancel each other out. It's a so-called balanced load. And hence you don't need a neutral, because whenever one phase is carrying the voltage, the other two carry it back. It's quite the neat concept, a lot of experience and a lot of mathematical equation and knowledge went in there, but it pretty much eliminates the requirement for a neutral wire here. And I actually find that kind of cool. And yeah, we tested that pump, the three-phase pump, it worked well, and yeah, what we had to do then is to fit everything nice and neat together, put the pump into the borehole, connect it to our water supply. The control box needed to be wired up and put close to the water tower. And when it was all done, we had a very nice functioning borehole pump that worked, filled our tank, and when we sorted out the sensor, which had a little bit of a problem at the beginning, the only thing that we had to do is run the wire from the pump, or the control box to be exact, towards the fuse box in the administration building, because it is a distance of roughly 30-ish meters. We had to build little power poles, as you can see here. And yeah, that is pretty much how we finally got our water working at the farm. And what I'm going to talk about next time is the basic water concept. I think it ties in quite neatly at the moment here. See you next time.